Welcome to Ultimate Orlando Clicks. I am your host Kevin, and this week we are getting started over at the Transportation and Ticket Center, where during sometimes the busy seasons you'll see buses to the Magic Kingdom in addition to the monorails and the boat options, the ferry boat options. Since we took the bus, this is what the view looks like from the bus stop, where they are debarking one of the ferries here, and just on the other side of it they're building another ferry dock, it looks like. I'll look at the guide map with the new Festival of Fantasy parade on it. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. First, a stop at City Hall, where you can see that they have finally finished the redecoration, the new planters out in front, and the new stairs out in front of City Hall. It looks very nice. What they've also done is remove the curb in this area, so it's just a completely flattened out area now, so there's no need for a curb. That's easier for strollers and wheelchairs. It looks like they're continuing with that process of curb removal, probably going to go all the way around Town Square. Casey's Corner has reopened. Now, I'm not sure how easy it is to see, but this is actually more than twice as large as it was before, the seating area here. There's at least 4 rows now. Previously, there were only a couple of rows of tables out here, so this is pushed out into what was previously a planter. Speaking of planters, this is that walkway toward Adventureland. This was under wraps until recently. Now, as we can see from a different angle, reverse angle, these are outdoor vending carts, and what they're doing is moving the carts over here and away from the hub areas, because they're doing that hub expansion, and the carts are going to be out on the side, not in the middle during it. This has been true for some time, but I just have never snapped a picture. The signage has changed at Sleepy Hollow Inn. It no longer says that Ichabod Crane is our proprietor. So there's a little bit of theming that's been lost there, actually. Now, the moats have been drained, and now you can see a view here toward the Tomorrowland side. This landing was open, and a couple of pictures I'll show you were taken from this landing until recently, but as of a couple of days ago now, this landing is closed off as well. So what Disney is doing is enclosing all of the space you see here and the space where the picture is being taken. The moat will still exist, but it's going to be covered up basically with land, so they can have some additional seating areas or standing areas for both fireworks and parade and so forth. Tomorrowland Terrace Restaurant used to have a little menu board here on this side by the bathrooms. The menu board has moved across the walkway over to here. Speaking of walkways, we are in Liberty Square, as you can see, and they finally reopened this walkway. It's wide enough for 4 people to walk side by side, and so strollers can get by through this area a lot more simply now when the parade's going on. So this is a very positive development. We did try out the FastPass Plus for the parade viewing. Wanted to show you what it looked like, that it's the entire front half of the hub, really. All of this on this side as well as on the other side as well, facing the castle. A lot of space for not that many people using it. And we are here to see the new Festival of Fantasy Parade. So I'm going to go somewhat quickly through these. You've probably seen coverage of the Festival of Fantasy Parade in other places. This particular float has Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella, and comes actually from the Jubilation Parade at Tokyo Disney. And Tiana comes at the end of that. Now, on the back side of the Tiana, here you'll have Anna and Elsa from Frozen, but it wasn't rotating on the day that I took those pictures. So, the Tangled float with all of these swinging axes. A lot of hidden details. The Pascal here, the crazy guy in his diaper over here. Unusual sea creatures leading into the Under the Sea float. This Sebastian is actually a holdover from SpectroMagic. One little piece of living float history for you there. Very colorful parade, as you can tell. An entire rainbow here. Hook is swinging on this anchor, and this boat moves back and forth just a little bit as well. So a lot of interesting angles to take in. And then Tinkerbell on the back, facing Cinderella Castle there. Followed by Smee and Tick-Tock, the Croc. And then we move into the Brave territory, where the dancers are followed by Merida herself on these bagpipes. And look over the top of the bagpipes, you'll see 1, 2, and 3 of her little brown bear brothers. You can see a different angle of those bears. Very colorful parade, as I've said before. Now, I loved that these characters, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather, would glide. They're rolling around on the ground. They're not running. So you can perhaps see here there's some sort of platform involved. I'm not sure what the technology is. It almost kind of functions like Segway, actually, that they seem to want to go in a direction, and that's the direction that they go. The entire Sleeping Beauty scene is got these very stylized bramble guys on stilts, and then these kind of more macabre birds. And then, of course, the massive steampunk dragon, which does, in fact, blow fire as well, though I don't have a picture of that to show you this time around. Followed by some walk-around characters. You've got Alice in Wonderland and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Not sure how obvious it is here, but there's two dwarfs on top of each other, like they're doing the piggyback rides, you remember from the movie. Some more stylized costumes, again with a very unusual, very colorful color scheme. This is a second float from Jubilation Parade in Tokyo. Obviously it mixes up Pinocchio and Dumbo, and behind that Donald Duck and Daisy Duck, and a lot of Fantasia characters as well. A lot of motion. These dancers are swinging around up there. And all of the floats have a lot of motion like that. It's a pretty kinetic looking parade, and it looks marvelous. All of these costumes show you all of the various colors, and they really are very interesting to see in face-to-face, quite vivid as well. The final parade, of course, final parade float, of course, is Mickey and Minnie. Can't see Minnie very well from here, in a balloon-type parade float. And then the banner comes finally re-announcing that this was the Festival of Fantasy Parade and that we will see you real soon. So while we were here at the Magic Kingdom, we noticed that some of these turrets had gone silver, but not to worry, the silver turned out to be for the painters. The painters later, after they put the silver on, came back in and put blue back on top of it. So they do it first here in the edges and then with a roller on top of that. So the silver was there to give it a metallic sheen after the blue goes back on top. And while they were there, those painters did a little bit of damage, as you can see, to a bit of the moat right near the castle. Just across the way from there, walls have come down here. This is Cosmic Rays, and until this Sunday, actually, the walls were covering up those windows. You can look inside the windows and see part of it is still behind walls, but part of it is not. This is the new section, finally opened up. Now, the new section doesn't go all the way to the end. You see these little lounge areas here where you can have bench seating. And then the new zone here was previously outdoors and is now part of the indoors and in the air conditioning as well. Couple of merchandise things to bring to you. This is a Duffy outfit where Duffy is dressed up like Mickey Mouse, as you can see there, or Duffy dressed up like Pinocchio. You see a little pixelated there. Other Duffy costumes, there's a couple of different ones that have come in this little bag. The Duffy pillow looks a little bit more like a generic bear than Duffy, perhaps. Duffy has Easter eggs, getting close to the Easter season. Another one of these boxes of Duffy outfits, this one in pajamas, and this one as Peter Pan, as you can see. And then finally Duffy as Stitch as well. Grainy shot for you here. This is the Polynesian DVC construction. We'll get a couple of different angles for you to show that some of the bungalows are indeed under construction and coming along well in the overwater area. They're shot from a distance. A lot of metallic framing goes in there before the wood goes on top. Switching over to Epcot, it is the flower and garden season, so we're going to show you some of the topiaries, as well as this entrance fountain. Actually, it's always nice when they add fountains. The topiaries are a mixture of brand new and been there for a while. We'll stop in the festival center first and poke around to show you they've got some areas set up and some areas still closed off. It's obviously not a hugely popular event the way Food and Wine Festival is. This caught my eye as new, something for pass holders specifically. There's a coin, and there's also a pin that you could buy, as well as this t-shirt. Now that t-shirt, it turns out, there's a version of that for sale for everyone, not just the pass holders. Another Duffy, Flower and Garden. There's a version for sale for everyone, not just for pass holders, a little bit more colorful, actually. And then more lawn equipment. This was new to me, anyway, a calendar for Flower and Garden Festival, and you can see on the back side, these are the images that they have available, clearly from previous years, perhaps all from last year, actually. Okay, now I'm just going to take you through Epcot as we walk through it. This is Future World, next to the Cars area, and the Cars area itself is one of the kids' playgrounds. And you can see that they've done the usual decorations of making it a kind of a hide-and-seek area for Mater, where they've got a little game with car parts strewn around there. And then the garden retreat on the way back toward the center. The usual blanket of flowers. Didn't see Hidden Mickey this year in the flower beds. Maybe I just missed that. Tinkerbell's Butterfly Garden has the usual dual path here, as well as butterfly topiaries on the other side. Now this is in the Rose Garden area. They've got a Pixar-themed playground, Monsters-themed playground, which was actually quite well themed. They put a lot of effort into what they put on the skins on the outside of this playground equipment, and the topiary is there as well. And then the Rainbird area, which is about herbs and vegetables, over to the Central Zone, where we have a Fantasia theme for the central topiaries. And from here we will stop at some of the food booths and show you that they are holdovers really from flower and garden booths, are holdovers from the food and wine booths. Not entirely though. This one caught my eye as new. I don't know that they've done sales of paintings and photographs here before from this particular vendor. They do have the typical flower and garden vendors, all with different names, things like Oasis and so forth. Some of them aren't even named. The Mexico Pavilion has one of those set up. The Norway Troll, the China Pandas, then in the Africa area, Pumbaa and Timon and Mufasa and baby Simba. The Florida booth is over near Germany. And then speaking of Germany, we have this one with provoking a bit of controversy around the internet. Perhaps you can see why Snow White has facial features rather than just being an ivy face, which is what we had seen in previous years. The Muppets near the Italy Pavilion. You can see they're advertising for the new Muppet movie coming soon. Near Italy, another booth set up with similar dishes to food and wine type dishes. There is the lineup of concerts for Flower Power. So you'll see some of the familiar names, a couple of new ones cycled in this time around. In the America Pavilion, the Smokehouse Barbecue has this topiary in front of it. And this caught my eye in Japan. Now, many of the Kodak picture spots are now Nikon picture spots, Nikon being Japanese, maybe that's why it caught my eye. But then I looked closer and realized that's just a sticker over the top there. So hopefully that manages to endure the weathering well enough. Bonsai display in the Japan Pavilion, as well as a Japan-specific food booth. Then one for Morocco. And then over toward the France area, you've got this backyard display set up. A little minimalistic this year, I would say. Topiaries in France, there are several of them, all set up for photographs. And then this food booth out front. Now this is what the topiaries with the princesses used to look like, kind of faceless actually. Both Cinderella here and Sleeping Beauty in the previous shot. A little hard to see in the shadows. These are characters from Winnie the Pooh in the UK Pavilion. And then the UK also has the Peter Pan topiaries, as well as this food booth. Next to Canada, you have the Bambi topiaries, and the display for Disney Nature's next movie, Bears, which is coming soon. So as you can see, yet another one of these garden shops, this one named Garden Emporium instead of Oasis. Trees set up in the Future World area, next to the Phineas and Ferb sign-up zone. And then this central feature in Future World is playing soccer. It's Goofy and Donald, as you can see, and all these balls around the outside have names on them for various countries that do play football or soccer. And then over to Downtown Disney to see some parking garage construction going on there. You can see the pylons are now a story and a half or 2 stories tall and actually stretching quite a distance across the central part of the west side. Okay, on to our game. Where in Walt Disney World was this? Last time around we had this question, visual question I guess we should say, and a great many of you got it right in the comments. This is from the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids pre-show. It was the Kodak pre-show showing one of those moments you capture on film. All right, that leads us to this week's question, and as always I don't give you any particular clues. Where in Walt Disney World was this? Leave your answer in the comment section below, and we'll see you next week if you were right. That takes us to the end of this week. We thank you as always for your attention, and we will catch you guys next time.